Welcome to Stop Wasting Your Wine, a wine review podcast where we waste our wine so you don't have to. In this episode, we review
a red wine from Italy.
All right, welcome back to the podcast. Of course, I'm joined by two of the snappiest dressers I've ever known in my entire life, Colin and Aaron. Colin,
God,
Aaron,
I wish
looking
that was
fantastic.
Yeah, funny you say that because my wardrobe is entirely made up of black V's and different colored shorts. So I don't know if I can necessarily agree with you on snappy dresser.
It's the different colored shorts, though. It adds that pizzazz, you know?
I've been alive for 37 years, and I can't honestly say I've ever owned a pair of pants that were the right length.
Wow.
It's just,
that's not even that hard.
It's no problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they don't make pants for short people, so
Yeah, it's you have to cuff them or you gotta tailor them. You're my height. We're all very similar in height, except Joel's kind of weirdly tall.
Yeah, Joel's much taller than
this.
Yeah, he's much taller.
Yeah,
than
but he carries himself like
true.
someone my height.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, you're a little bit.
Are you saying I carry myself in a poor way? Careful,
guys. We came out of the gates so spicy on this one. I don't know what has gotten into you guys.
I just missed you guys. We haven't recorded in a couple weeks.
My Lord, that's true. Yeah, it's nice to see you guys. All right, so like we mentioned up top, today we are drinking a red wine from Italy. Aaron, how about some more detail on the wine we're drinking today?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is an Italian wine. So as a proud Italian myself, I'm going to go ahead and butcher the producer's name, which is Renieri.
Mm-hmm.
This is a red blend from the region of Tuscany, 14% alcohol by volume. And we got it from Total Wine at a price of $16.99. But, as a quick side note, thinking about this, a lot of times these bottles have the wines that make up the blend listed on them, and this does not. So I have no idea what we're drinking besides it being red. So I don't know, Colin, what do we, do you know anything about this,
Help
Colin?
us,
What are we
Colin.
drinking? Is this blood? What do we have here?
No, it's wine. I had the Stop Wasting Your Wine research department actually look this up.
Okay.
And this is...
You asked Jeeves?
Yeah, no. Jeeves. Wow, that's a throwback. But a mixture of Sangiovese, Merlot, and Cabernet.
Delightful.
Yes, it should be.
All right. Excellent. Now, as another aside, which is really important, and I'm sure this is one of the game changers because we have bought wines in the past that have won awards. That was hit or miss. But I think the thing that's going to be different this time is in front of this wine, when I bought it at Total Wine, there was a great little sticker that said that this wine was recommended by an employee named Paul, and even had his picture, which, great. So if we love this wine, I can literally go find him. And if we don't like this wine, I know what he looks like. So
This is Paul's
it's
pick?
like a weird... Yeah, this is
A Paul pick,
this is
I've heard Paul gets it. So this should be a good one.
Look, if this is like a knock your socks off wine, next time I go to Total Wine, I'm going to be searching for Paul picks.
Yeah. But if it sucks, we're going to go find Paul and tell him he wasted our wine, man.
He wasted our wine.
And you know what's going to be funny? Paul's going to be like, I don't know what you're talking about, because they just pretty much put those up there for marketing purposes.
Paul's not a real
true.
person. He's like an AI.
Yeah, Paul's not it.
I developed employee.
Paul
I am
likes
Paul.
Paul likes Renieri.
I am Paul.
I love it.
We're all Paul.
All right, well,
really.
we are. I am Paul. All right. Love it. Any day I could slip a little I am Spartacus line into a podcast. That's a good day. All right. So before we dive into Paul's pick here, let's learn something together, guys, shall we?
Let's do it.
If we must.
This is the only thing you will learn.
Aaron, I appreciate your excitement for my segment. I mean, it makes me feel good that you're excited to hear what I have to say.
Look,
so,
man, I'm
I
auditing a class on this podcast. The amount of information that I've had to consume and learn and just discovered I'm a total moron when it comes to this field is unnerving for me. What am I going to learn today, Colin?
I hope not to bore you. So this week I'm going to wrap up our discussion on wine structure. We were going to do that last week, but we we did a little bit of celebrating instead. And talked about some bubbly. So this week, I just want to put a little bow on the entire discussion and talk a little bit about balance. What do you guys think about balance when you hear the term balance in association with wine?
Seesaw. Oh, in association with wine.
Aaron?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take this one for once. Thinking back to what we've learned so far, I'm thinking about like how all the different structures actually work together, right? So a lot of times I'm actually thinking now with balance when we had the episode where you talked about like alcohol and actually tasting the alcohol versus the alcohol content working with the other flavors. That's one of the first things I'm looking for.
Man, that I am so proud of you, Aaron. I mean, that is a great answer. That is, you absolutely nailed it. Because that's what balance is. It's when the structural components in a wine work together, and that's what makes a balanced wine. Joel, do you have something?
Well, I just had a realization that I might be becoming the least wine literate person on this podcast, and I'm a little worried.
Gotta keep up, man. Sometimes I know you think I'm sleeping, but I'm listening.
I gotta go get a book or something. I've just been drinking the wine and hanging out. Have you? You've been like studying, Aaron.
I feel deeply uncomfortable with how stupid I've been in some of these episodes, so I'm gonna move on up the ladder. I'm chasing. Chasing you, man. Let's go.
Oh boy. Okay, it's on.
That was a great answer. So balance also takes into consideration flavor, because if you think about structural components, you don't want a wine that's just structural components without flavor. Or if you have a bold tasting wine, you want the structural components to match the boldness of the flavor. So it's really when a wine is really in harmony between all of its components, flavor and structural. So you can have, when it comes to structure, you can have too much of one component. Like Aaron said, you could have too much alcohol, you could have too much acid. You could also have not enough of one component. So you could be lacking on the acid, could have not enough tannin, and it can feel weird in your mouth. So what you're really looking for is just a complete wine. And I just wanted to mention that we only really scratched the surface on all of these structural components. And there's really rabbit holes you can go down for each of them, which I encourage you to do if you find this stuff interesting. We really only touched on the basic stuff that you need to know to enjoy wine more. But I mean, you could write or read a book on each individual topic. The holes go deep. So
yeah, that's kind of like what we set out to do, though, right? And I think the way that you've laid it out in the last couple of weeks is pretty awesome. Colin, you introduced the individual pieces, and then today kind of wrapped it up with putting it all together in a way. So I think that's great. And if you haven't listened to the last couple of podcasts, go back, check those out. And then this one I think is a really nice little bow, just to really the foundational how to drink and enjoy and know what you're drinking when you try a wine.
You too can sound less and less dumb with each episode.
Aaron, you and I are like the living proof that this podcast does what it's supposed to do.
So far, although we are about to go into the next segment where I lose all credibility. So
Uh-oh. All right,
But let me just add one more thing.
Yeah.
And I think beyond just sounding less dumb, if you take all of this together and really start to notice the different structural components and really start to notice the flavor, you really have an advantage when it comes to buying wine, because you understand better what you like. It's not about what we like. We might like wine or not, but that doesn't really matter. It's about how you experience the wine, what you like, what structural components work for you. And I think that's what really, I hope that you took away from the last couple of weeks.
All right, well, let's take everything we learned and let's try this wine.
Tastes like wine.
Let's go ahead and start enjoying. As we always do, let's give it a swirl and see what we're getting on the nose.
Hey, Barry, you want to kick us off?
Do I want to kick us off? Why not? If I'm the first one to say something, the odds of it being wrong or already said are pretty low. This is a pretty strong smelling wine. I'm almost getting like a potpourri aspect. Is that insane?
Aromatic, just like super
very floral.
Yeah, maybe a little. I mean, I think that might be more like Italian spice. Like,
in an Italian family, potpourri is an Italian spice, dude. Come on, we just put it on everything.
No,
I'm
you're right.
starting to really really wonder if you're actually Italian, because everything you're saying is just so unbelievable. You know what though? I think I get what you're saying. I don't know if I would call it floral. I'm getting like a lot of dark fruits, a lot of like stone fruit kind of stuff. Not stone fruit, but dark fruit coming through. So fruity maybe is what I'm getting, but at the core of it, super aromatic, I would say. Like there's a lot to pick apart when smelling this one.
Yeah, it's got a good smell to it.
Yeah, there's quite a bit going on there. I'm getting a little black cherry for sure. A little funky horsiness. Maybe it's like hay to me. Like kind of like that if you can transport yourself to a farm. And then maybe a little like strawberry, but just like a little bit. It's not, there's not a ton going on, but there's also like some different levels. Like it's not just fruit.
Not a
There's some other
strawberry
stuff
farm,
going-
but the farmer might be eating a strawberry at the farm. Kind of situation going on.
Okay.
Someone spilled a box of strawberries in the field.
That's a deep note. We'll mark that one.
That's where you get that.
Just trying to be part of the conversation. I realize I'm falling back down the ladder.
No, I think what you're getting at is stick with me here. I'm going to throw a little lifeline here because I don't disagree. Like if you were to take a crate of strawberries, throw it on the ground, that's sort of what I'm smelling here. And I mean that in a good way. I'm not even saying that negatively.
Yeah, I also don't disagree. It's just you told a complete story for cherries.
Yeah, it took us a while to get there.
Strawberry. Yeah. So I love it though.
Telling a story, it's how you win over the people, man. People love a good story.
You know how else you win over the people? We move on with the segment. Let's go ahead and drink the wine and see what we're getting. Okay, I'm getting something a little interesting, but I want you guys to go first and see if I'm crazy or not. We'll start with you, Colin, this time.
Okay, yeah, and think about structural components too. Now that we're kind of done wrapping that all up. I know for me, like tannin plays a big part in this wine. You can really feel how grippy it is around the gums. Like it's pretty intensely grippy, but it's not. It's nice. It's not like scratchy per se. It just kind of gives your gums a nice warm hug. Some nice acid to balance that tannin, which I like a lot. And then as far as flavor is concerned, pretty much what you got on the nose with the strawberry and the black cherry. Definitely get some of that horsiness in here too. Yeah, that's what I'm getting.
Nice.
Aaron, anything to add?
I mean, maybe you can help me out with what part of the structure this is. But one thing I noticed is it has, a really solid taste right up the start. You got the tannin, you feel in your mouth. But then there's no aftertaste. And I'm thinking back to a couple of the other dark wines reds that we had earlier in the season that really hung around, and this one does not. It clears out as soon as you're done.
Yeah, that's not structure really. That's just like the flavor components and how the wine's made. That's just kind of how the flavors interact with the palate. But I would totally agree. It's like you get a big hit of flavor up front, and then it kind of tails off into like almost like a watery aftertaste. There's really not much aftertaste there. You almost notice the structure more than the flavor because the tannins are so grippy.
It's interesting because the balance isn't bad, right? Like I don't feel like the alcohol is overbearing or the tannin is like everything kind of works.
Yeah. I would say the flavor profile is a little bit lacking only because it does like there's no real follow through on the flavor. So that would be a ding that I would put against this wine because it's just, you want a wine that you can taste for a while afterwards. And this definitely does not do that.
Well, okay, so I want to just kind of thinking back in the balance situation. What's funny is I'm going through my list here, and to me, everything is super in the middle, like kind of like what we're saying. I agree with you guys. Middle of the road. Colin, you might have said a little bit heavier tannin. To me, it's kind of like a middle of the road, middle acidity. Yeah. But the one thing that's kind of skewed on the spectrum to me is the dryness. It's really, really dry. Like that's the thing that sticks out to me as well. And here's the thing I was enjoying listening to you guys because you mentioned something that I was thinking, which is, you drink it and it's gone pretty quickly. It doesn't really hang around. But is anybody else getting, and I'm not equating the wine in any way, shape, or form to, an herbal drink like a Jägermeister or something like that. But I almost have that feeling on my tongue after that you do when you have something super medicinal or herbal like that. Anybody else getting anything like that, or is that just me?
I mean, I don't totally disagree. There's definitely, but again, I think that's part of the flavor profile. I think it's that kind of Italian seasoning blend flavor that you get in there. I think that's really what you're experiencing there. So I don't get a lot of tannin on it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get a lot of tannin on the tongue, so there's not a ton of structure there, but you can really, even on the back of the palate, you really get that Italian seasoning vibe going on. It's actually a really enjoyable.
I agree. Okay. Awesome. Well, we've tried it, got some good notes. Let's go ahead and roll into our review.
Yeah, but did they like it? It's time for the review.
All right, so it's the time. Let's go through, share your review. Let me know if you're putting this in the coveted wine fridge, if you're putting this on the table to share with friends, if you're putting this in the closet for a rainy day, or if you're pouring this down the drain. I'm going to go to you, Aaron. Kick us off.
I wanted to trust Paul. He seemed like a great guy. The picture made him seem like a very computer algorithmic, trustworthy fellow. And I love a good dry red. You said this is very dry. Colin, what's the most dry in your dry spectrum? Dry. Just dry.
Yeah. I guess technically there's bone dry, but nobody really
bone dry
uses
is
that.
badass. I mean, why don't people use that? We should use that all the time. My God.
Yeah, it does. It's not really helpful. I mean, dry, everybody understands what dry wine is.
That's like an actual wine term, Colin. Bone dry.
Bone dry.
Wow.
Yeah.
Strange. Okay.
Love it. But you know what? I'll say this. It seems like an okay dry red. Nothing about it that I dislike. The fact that the taste doesn't hang around, it's just like there's not a lot of taste to it. Like it has this big aromatic aspect to it. There's like an immediate taste, and it disappears. It's probably a good wine for like pairing, that you can bring around. One thing, in Jersey where I am, a lot of restaurants, especially Italian restaurants, are BYOB. So you bring in your own, bottle of wine with you. Like this might be a good bottle to grab to like pair with pizza or pasta or something like that, knowing that's not going to break the bank, but it's also not going to have a flavor that's going to overpower what you're eating. All that being said, I think this is a good like backup wine. I don't think this is a wine that I'm going to put on the kitchen table to like show off to people for $16.99. It might be something that I just have around, but not something I'm going to necessarily bring to a party with me.
Colin?
Yeah, I would agree. I think Aaron hit it on the head with the food wine thing, but it's definitely not something that I'd want to sip by itself. I mean, it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just, the finish is a little bit off for me. It's just not really my kind of wine per se, but I could see somebody liking this quite a bit, but for me, it's a closet wine.
Colin, like sometimes, we're going to have wines on the show that we're going to get for $16.99, $19.99, and we're going to be really excited about, and they're going to feel like a $40 bottle of wine, and it's going to be, this is a great deal to bring something that people are really going to like. This feels like a $16.99 bottle of wine.
I agree. Yeah, no, I think it is what it is. It kind of does what it does. Nothing special, but it's not terrible either. I'd probably pay about $16.99 for this bottle of wine.
Joel?
Guys, I am torn on this one because, like we've been saying, this wine, very dry. But while maybe it doesn't really stand out in other ways, I love a dry wine. So personally, this is probably a wine that I would want to open up and drink. But I'm going to agree with you guys, just kind of in general, that this maybe is a closet wine, because although this wine is dry AF and I'm into it.
Recently 21-year-olds are like, yeah.
Is that how they say it?
I might be off by a decade at this point. I'm old.
Right on.
But I'm going to tell you this. I like to find little nuances between our rating system. This is going to be up front in that closet, because the first time that I'm having greasy pizza on a Friday night, I'm pulling this bad boy out because I think this would go just so well with, a big old pizza pie. So
It's a pizza wine.
Going in the closet, it's a pizza wine.
It is. It's a pizza
100%.
wine.
Absolutely.
Pizza wine. That's it.
Absolutely. So it enjoy it, going in the closet, pizza wine, saving it for a rainy pizza day. All right. So some interesting, a little bit over the board here, a little bit across the board. So we do have to answer the final question here, guys, which is this in vitro Renieri red blend, Super Tuscan red blend, Paul's pick, a waste of our wine? Aaron?
I'm not going to go as far to say Paul led me wrong. Like, I think the price point saves it. I don't think it's a waste of wine for $16.99. I think it's a closet wine. If I had to reach, and grab something and I found this bottle, I wouldn't be like, shit. So it's not a waste of my wine. It's not going to be, out on the kitchen table, but it's not a waste. It's a decent wine for the price point.
Colin?
Yeah. Again, totally agree. Like, I think you guys nailed it when you said it would be a great food wine. It's definitely not a sipper if you're not drinking or eating Italian food. So this would be in my closet for, like Joel mentioned, a pizza night. I mean that's this is like pizza wine as good as it gets. So
I am going to agree with you guys that this is not a waste of your wine. I think I'm a little bit more vehemently not a waste of your wine because I really do enjoy it. And like you guys said, for $16.99? Really, I think the value is
there for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's official, folks. Not a waste of your wine. Thank you so much for going with us on this week's wine review journey of the In Vitro Renieri Super Tuscan. Hey, Colin, if folks listening to this podcast want to interact with us and reach out and be a part of the Stop Wasting Your Wine community, how can they do that?
Great question, Joel. They could find us on our website at stopwastingyourwine.com, where we have all of our episodes and a little bit about the rating system and lovely pictures of the three of us.
Oh,
and you can
Lovely.
Yeah, they are some nice pictures. If you want to see some great pictures,
spicy.
head on over to the website.
all right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can also follow us on Instagram at Stop Wasting Your Wine, and we'd really appreciate if you could leave us a review, hopefully a good review, on whatever platform you're listening to us on.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us. See you next week. Hope you enjoyed it. And as always, stop wasting your wine. Have a good one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.